From the clothes on your back to the phone in your hand, every product requires the work of a designer. Having said that, not all designers are, well, good. From impractical chargers and phony speakers to spine-chilling children's toys, today we'll be taking a look at the dumb, the bad, and the ugly, as we check out more designers that should go to hell for their ideas. Apple may be a tech giant, but they've had their fair share of design blunders. And top of the pile is undoubtedly their wireless Magic Mouse. It's a pretty decent gadget overall, however there's a slight issue in the charging department. What with Apple putting it underneath, which as you can see renders it completely useless while charging. The mouse doesn't need charging frequently, though I can imagine in the midst of a last-minute deadline, this design can make even the Pope swear. And this isn't Apple's only folly. The Apple Pencil's second generation is a nifty, if expensive, gadget that allows precision touchscreen use, compatible with iPad Pro models 2018 and onwards. This pencil can be secured magnetically to the side of the tablet where it charges wirelessly. The same level of finesse cannot be said for the first generation. With no magnet, it charges via the iPad's Lightning port, where, as you can see, there's a risk of the pencil bending or snapping if not to mention losing the tiny cap it comes with. Now, we've established pretty firmly in this series that Apple's design teams are going to hell. But another diabolical tech design comes from Logitech with their Z333 speakers. One customer found that the tweeter, aka the smaller speaker, was actually just glued on and was completely cosmetic. Though in fairness to Logitech, the item's description's small print does say the tweeter is decorative and not operational. But why add it then, Logitech? Why add it? But that's just hardware design. The world of software design is a whole other can of worms. Exhibit A: Anti-notifications. This is a relatively new, dastardly infuriating trend of social media apps such as Facebook sending users pseudo-notifications that don't really concern them. I.e., BMA's just updated his profile picture, or BMA's commented on a post. Basically a notification involving your Facebook friends, not you, designed only to get you on the app. And why do they want you on the app? Well, money. Our feeds are brimming with ads which third-party companies pay Facebook to display to target audiences, based on the data Facebook has on you. According to CNBC, these ads made up 99% of Facebook's $55.8 billion revenue in 2018. Facebook also knows that for many users, a notification will automatically trigger their brain's dopamine system, coercing them to pursue the anti-notification and get sucked into endless doom scrolling. So beware, these anti-notifications are designed for one thing, and that's making Mark more Zuckerbucks. Now, as someone whose income is YouTube-based, I wouldn't want to bite the hand that feeds me. But alas, I have a duty to truth, and unfortunately, YouTube itself has been caught making some devious design choices with its platform. Namely, how the app is becoming increasingly more ad-centric. From ads that look kinda like regular videos and start playing automatically, taking up half the landing screen, to removing the option to sort a channel's videos by oldest first. Are they purposely trying to frustrate users? Well, as far as the ad stuff is concerned, it could be so. YouTube offers a $11.99 per month premium subscription, which, besides YouTube Music and offline downloads, offers ad-free viewing. Perhaps if they plague you enough with copious ads, you'll be pressured into buying YouTube Premium. Heck, even the ads for Premium are sneaky. Just check out the design of this ad one Twitter user noticed. Their entire screen was consumed by the ad and there seemed to be no exit. In reality, a black X was slyly camouflaged into the woman's hair. Yep, I hate to say it, but YouTube's current design teams are earning a place on my naughty list. YouTube, if you're listening, I didn't mean any of that. I love you. But there's actually a term for designs like this. It's called dark pattern, and it's defined as a user interface that has been carefully crafted to trick users into doing things. Or as one Twitter user found, not doing things. After receiving an email from Moonpig, a UK online order greeting card company, he wished to unsubscribe. However, there was no unsubscribe button. After digging around, he found the button was in black font on a black background, only visible when highlighted. Outrageous. But these days, the internet is riddled with these dark patterns. Just take a look at what Reddit user Gelnus Law spotted when visiting a blog website. Sneaky, right? As the user tries to edit their cookie preferences, the options switch, making it impossible to not accept. Thankfully, as you can see, this has since been rectified, but its original form was pretty much as outrageous as design choices get. It can be incredibly frustrating when technology overcomplicates simple tasks. Another example being these refrigerators spotted in Walgreens.
Completely opaque, you must wave your hand in order to be shown the stock levels inside. Digitally, something which Redditor Nuke Gunstar claims they don't even do accurately.
Nothing like failing to solve a non-existent problem with a solution nobody asked for. Especially when, transparent glass exists? That said, a Walgreens employee in the comments explained that the doors are insulated, meaning the fridges conserve energy, making them environmentally friendlier. Though considering the power required to light up those screens and the precious mined metals needed to craft the computer parts to run them, I'm not sure I buy that. Do you? Let me know in the comments. If there's one thing that should always be simple, it's pooping. Nevertheless, some restrooms in China have even started to tax turds. That is, you must scan the QR code on the TP dispenser and watch a 30-second ad on your phone in order to be rewarded with 3 measly squares of TP. If this is the dystopian advertiser crazy future we're heading for, I want out. Worse yet, imagine your bowel movements being reflected for all to see. While it's probable whoever's responsible for this mirrored ceiling didn't fully think through their idea, some netizens are certain the designer was a bit of a peeping Tom. There are other decor rules when it comes to restrooms, namely avoiding the color brown, what with certain connotations. A memo this tile designer didn't get. On closer analysis, I think they're supposed to be brown flowers or puppy dogs. Though I guess if the walls already look splattered in human waste, there's less of a need to clean up the real stuff. These days, it's important to be environmentally friendly, and companies know they can profit on this by advertising their products as such. So much so, just this year in celebration of Earth Day, L'Oreal packaged their Biolage range shampoo and conditioner in a fully recycled cardboard bottle. Or so it seemed. Yep, like a Scooby-Doo villain, this cardboard was merely a mask for a plastic bottle. Alright, truth be told, L'Oreal did acknowledge that this was a hybrid bottle, meaning all the packaging was 100% recycled cardboard and recycled plastic. Reportedly, the cardboard stabilizes the bottle, meaning it can be much thinner and uses 40% less plastic. But still, it feels a little deceptive, and not all designers are so transparent with these things. Like this bottle that literally says, "Hello, I'm a paper bottle." In this case, the company actually had to issue an apology, admitting to being misleading, though they claimed it was merely an oversight. Yeah, sure. I'll claim the same thing the next time I introduce myself as Chris Hemsworth at parties. But if we're talking wasteful plastic, you ain't seen nothing till you feast your eyes on this. In 2016, Whole Foods had the idea to sell pre-peeled oranges and case them in plastic containers. If only oranges come with some way to biologically case themselves, so we didn't need to cover them in plastic. Oh, wait. After receiving some very deserved backlash, Whole Foods responded admitting they'd made a mistake in pledging to leave them in their natural packaging, the peel. What a great idea. It's bold, it's new, it's exciting. I like it. Most folks would like a bigger house, but reality often means having to make do with smaller spaces. Thankfully, there are creative solutions to limited space like underbed storage, wall-mounted tables, or having your toilet in your kitchen? According to Reddit, this culinary crapper genuinely exists in an apartment in Russia. There's little info on this peculiar potty, though I can only hope it was the result of plumbing limitations and not a design choice. Prepping food next to the spot you just dropped a loaf of a different kind doesn't seem the most hygienic. But hey, at least there's an air freshener. So it's clear saving space requires creative solutions, though not all ideas are well thought out. For example, this staircase integrated into the kitchen counter. I imagine the designer thought this would be a genius idea, though it only brings to question their hygiene standards. Meatloaf with a side of feet, anyone? Hygiene aside, at least that kitchen's functional. The same cannot really be said for this next one. Spotted by a Redditor, this monstrosity was advertised on a real estate website as, and I quote, "a modern kitchen, great layout, bright and spacious." But amongst all the cramped chaos, the worst offender is the dishwasher. Presumably to save space, it must have been installed first and then sealed with the countertop. Though from this angle, it doesn't even look accessible. And God forbid getting it out of there if it stops working. Wow, it seems people are so lazy they'd rather have a kitchen like this than just hand wash the dishes themselves. But that's far from the worst perpetrator when it comes to real estate ads. Behold this Korean house advert. Initially, you might assume the house comes with an integrated pool, but the truth lies behind some clever camera angles. The devil works hard, but those realtors, they work harder and with equally devious intentions. False advertisement is common in most industries, one of the worst being food and drink. On more than one occasion, Budweiser, for instance, have been caught red-handed with some packaging deception. For example, here it appears there are 10 cans in this box, when in reality, the difficult-to-see dark text reveals there are only 8 16-ounce cans. The small print reveals these are equal to more than 10 regular 12-ounce cans, but I doubt that's useful info for anyone looking for a 10-pack. Same again here, suggesting there are 16 bottles when there are only 12. Even worse is this pack of Spanish chips, which claims to have 0 saturates, sodium, and sugars, that is, if you eat a 0-gram portion. In fairness, a designer on Reddit suggested this may have been a blank template that was accidentally printed, and that the designer may have even lost their job, as mistakes like this can be expensive. But besides printing mistakes, it seems our portion sizes truly are getting smaller. Yep, they call it shrinkflation. This is essentially the way in which some brands claim to keep their products the same prices throughout economic inflation, while incrementally making them smaller, meaning we, the consumer, get less bang for our buck. Or in many cases, they just increase the price anyway while making the product smaller. Take Gatorade, for example. With their recent bottle redesign, a representative claimed the new design was more aerodynamic and grippable, failing to mention that the fresh design also bore a 14% reduction in product, going from 32 ounces to just 28. Though not all companies are so discreet in their trickery. Just take this Japanese strawberry milk, or as they would call it, Ichigo Miraku. Only there ain't much Ichigo in this Miraku, as the strawberry syrup is actually printed onto the carton. One user in the comments of this Reddit post claimed to be from Japan and explained that the drink does actually taste like strawberry, but warned that the deceptive packaging is becoming increasingly common in Japan. Like, for example, this banana milk, which looks full, but once again, much of the product is merely printed on the packaging. But food isn't the only industry trying to save itself money at the expense of the customer experience. Somewhere else we might begin to feel the squeezes on the airlines. Well, that's if designer Alejandro Nunez Vicente gets his way with a Chase Lounge Economy seat. His design concept is essentially double-decker airplane, allowing airlines to cram in more passengers, making more money per flight. But with reviews calling it claustrophobic and fresh hell, with any luck we won't be shuffling into these seats anytime soon. Flying into slightly different territory now, sometimes poor design can lead to products looking like other products. Like this bottle of soda, yeah, that's paint remover. From the juice-like coloration to the crown cap, it almost seems the Einstein behind this wanted people to think it was soda, rather than the totally lethal-to-consume product it really is. Similar, but not quite as deadly, are these water cooler bottles, which have an interesting design choice, being yellow-tinted. Looks refreshing. On the more risque side of things, we have this M&M's packaging, where a resealable stickers placement has resulted in, oh dear God. Though rest assured, peel back the sticker, and we see we're just witnessing some chocolate making. Even so, it's pretty hard to see why this was the chosen pose, but I can confirm it appears across various packs. I'm starting to think some designers out there may truly be the devil himself. Moving on to some interior design, what would you do if you needed to install a radiator, but it was too big? While normal people would probably return it and get a smaller radiator, one person decided to think outside the box, or rather outside the room, cutting a hole in the wall in order to fit the radiator in. This is what one might call a hot mess. More infuriating is how almost perfect this wall is. Let's just hope there was a pipe or wire in the wall that couldn't be moved, resulting in this atrocity. Though if it was up to me, I'd much rather just place the outlet somewhere else than cause this crime against humanity. Oh, Photoshop slave! Come fix this for me! Ah, much better. We've all seen hilarious expectation versus reality photos, and it's often a result of poor design. Case in point, this Pennywise the Clown costume from Walmart, expectation and reality. Arguably much scarier than the original, if I do say so myself. And if that wasn't enough, just take a look at what happened when TikToker Lil Mammy Simp got her hands on the costume. Well, I'm never sleeping again. Less horrifying but equally disappointing, check out this slide that didn't quite live up to the expectations. Yep, quite anticlimactic. In reality, this might have been an intentional safety feature, considering there's a pool right there that could have unsuspecting swimmers in it. But I, for one, would be fully expecting to be launched into the heavens at the end of a slide like that. To quote the king of YouTube, report of the week,
"My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined."
Much like how that water slide rider's fun came to a screeching halt, so would any cyclist journey when using this cycling lane found in Selandak, Indonesia. Clearly, the architect behind this failed to account for street lamps, resulting in a cycle lane that resembles a Mario Kart course. As we've seen, designers are full of ideas, but execution isn't always their strong suit. A Mickey Mouse-shaped pencil, for instance, might seem like a cute idea. However, the reality is that this inaccessible eraser is as pointless as Disney's live-action remakes. Oh yeah, I went there. Jokes aside, I want to talk about something serious. Something close to my heart. SpongeBob. Just look what they did to him with this bouncy castle spotted in Croatia. Either the designer behind this is a monster, or they were attempting to recreate SpongeBob's evil sketch twin, Doodlebob. And there are plenty more terrifying children's toys out there, like Ballatorina unique baby dolls, aka hyper-realistic dolls which come posed and stacked in boxes. It seems the designer behind this didn't see how it kinda looks like the baby is last night's dinner in a Tupperware about to be reheated in the microwave. No wonder the little fellow looks so concerned. And while they're undeniably creepy, Ballerina dolls are reportedly growing increasingly popular. I guess I can understand it. A conveniently boxed fake child is a lot less hassle than a real one. But the creepiness doesn't stop there. Designers have even corrupted some of our best-loved characters, including Winnie the Pooh. Here we see Winnie after 2 failed marriages, alcoholism, and a DUI. Oh, the things this Winnie has seen. Even scarier than that are these Teletubby benches. Yeah, I'm not sitting on that. I'm pretty sure that little yellow pervert is on a list somewhere. Now, that bench might be uncomfortable, but did you know there are actually benches intentionally designed to be physically uncomfortable? In recent years, towns and cities around the world have been intentionally designing benches to be anti-homeless. That is, with lumps, bumps, and handles to deter homeless people from sleeping on them. Ironically, one designer even had their homeless charity ad posted on one of these so-called anti-homeless benches. While I'm sure that ad placement was just an oversight, in 2018 in the Guangxi province of China, a large chaotic cluster of posts were deliberately erected on Binjiang West Road, a place homeless were known to gather. The idea was that this would deter the homeless. Now, there are a few reasons why this design is terrible. 1, it's butt ugly. 2, it's mean-spirited. And 3, in theory, the homeless could still sleep between the bollards. Plus, they'd now have these handy posts to prop up shelter, therefore potentially making this a more homeless-friendly place and a futile design. Might I suggest investing the money and manpower of this construction into actually helping the homeless? Elsewhere in the realm of terrible seating design, you can find these seats which also double as reservoirs for rainwater. Either they were designed by someone unaware of rain's existence, or an evil genius like the devil behind this staircase design that has an unexpected trip hazard at the top. Without any color difference, I can only imagine that comes as quite a surprise to anyone using this death trap. Worse still, take a look at this trash can that attacks on sight. The frame which holds the trash can in place and the lid are barely distinguishable, meaning most will unwittingly unleash the trash can when trying to open it. You have to wonder how many folks have been showered in trash by this piece of junk. Still on the topic of nasty surprises, this next fright comes from, of all things, a calming white noise podcast.
Welcome to the Relaxing White Noise Podcast. White noise and nature sounds in 8-hour uninterrupted episodes.
That wasn't a very relaxing uninterrupted podcast, now was it? That baby had the fright of its life. I guess it had to learn sooner or later that the world is full of terribly designed products. By now, it's clear that bad design can result in some pretty uncomfortable experiences. For instance, this ad printed onto the side of a bus seems completely innocuous. That is, until you realize that this poor woman's eyes were placed on the sliding windows. Yep, she went from looking like a doctor to, well, a Dr. Seuss character. And this isn't the only time this has happened. The same situation happened here, but with a baby. Ah, the face only a mother could love. Even worse, one woman fell victim to another cruelly misplaced bus ad when the door handles fell right on her double-deckers, making it look like she had some pretty hardcore piercings. Not only that, but imagine being the person who has to open those doors. Yeah, I'm not going to animate that. Let's move on. Okay, so Rapunzel had magical hair, Pinocchio could grow his nose, and Cinderella? Well, apparently she could grow her neck, at least according to the adjustable headrest on this child's car seat. Long Neck Cinderella, now that's a Disney remake I'd watch. On to a more sensitive note, one designer attempted to create a patriotic keyring to honor war heroes. It's a heartwarming sentiment, however the quite literal execution of the design, that is, putting a hole in their head, was less than tasteful, even if it was accidental. However, this next piece of awful design was very much intentional. This egg separator is sold on Amazon for around $12 and is designed to appear as if the egg white is snot dripping from a man's nose. How do you like your eggs, boiled or phlegmed? So far, we've seen the dumb, the bad, and the ugly, so let's bring it on home with some straight-up stupid designs. Beginning with this one guy who, for whatever reason, had his Nike sneakers tattooed onto his feet. And whatever you're imagining, I can guarantee it's worse. Take a look. Yeesh. Sorry, I shouldn't body shame, especially in light of this next dreadful design. See, back in the 11th century, things weren't quite as PC, evidenced by this alleged anti-gluttony door found in Portugal's Alcobaça Monastery. As the name suggests, tour guides to the area report that the narrow 19.7-inch wide door was used as a metric of the monks' gluttony, or rather weight. It's believed that monks would be shamed into fasting if their gut couldn't fit through the door. Luckily, it would seem no designer ever actually conceived such a terrible design, not at least according to FakeHistoryHunter.com, who claimed the door was actually a serving hatch to pass things to and from the kitchen. But I wouldn't put it past those monks getting up to a little monkey business. Still, in the spirit of terrible passages, check out this supposed security gate, which resembles much more a ladder to the other side as opposed to a deterrent. The only thing this gate is missing is a burglar's welcome here sign. Sometimes designers purposely make bad designs as a means of cutting costs. Safe to say this can result in some very shoddy products. I mean, just look at this knife, which broke because of the incredibly short length of metal that actually reaches into the handle, which means those support studs are nothing more than a cosmetic lie. This pretty perfectly summarizes cutting corners. In that same vein, check out this Bluetooth USB adapter that was sold as having a signal boosting antenna, yet a little dissection found it was connected to absolutely nothing. Ugh. If only these designers could just tell the blue truth. Up next, we have this shoddy bridge, which is another case of designers forgetting rain exists. See, most bridges come with effective drainage systems, something this one spotted in Southeast China left to be desired. Because of this poor drainage system design, there are consequences. Firstly, driving through standing water not only risks damaging the car's engine, but it can cause loss of control due to aquaplaning. Secondly, the surprise jet stream of overflowing water sent cascading down by the vehicles above could cause a collision between the cars below. Not to mention potentially super soaking people using the crosswalk, though admittedly that is pretty funny. Slightly less funny though, the sheer amount of water could compromise the structural integrity of the bridge, risking a collapse. So for many, many reasons, this bridge design proves itself truly worthy of today's top prize for designers that should go to hell for their ideas. Well, that's about as much terrible design choices as I could tolerate today. If you've encountered any terrible designs, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.